I'm David Lee, co-founder and CEO of Next.
David, what is Next?
Next build motion games with cameras and AI.
So you guys are showing me around your booth here at GDC, showing what you can do. I'm getting flashbacks of the Kinect, and for those of you people who are watching, it was such an undervalued piece of hardware at the time, maybe a little bit too ahead of its time. Can you talk about what your software does with these cameras and what you can do with it?
So now we can actually deliver the motion gaming experiences without headset or sensor in your hands or a headset on your head or having a bulky camera like peripherals. We can actually do this for all basically basic RGB cameras embedded in any devices. So we support phones and tablets, Macs and PCs, both iOS and Android, Windows and Mac, and even supporting the upcoming TV camera-enabled TV and set-top boxes. So we're going to take motion games everywhere.
So your software works with just about any camera device on a modern computer or phone?
Correct. Basically, we use artificial intelligence to basically power computer vision, and using and process the camera frame captured by the camera 30 frames per second to track motion, and expose that to Unity. We build the tools to enable game to be built, leveraging the camera and the processing power that is provided by the chip.
Now, your tracking software also does multiple people on the frame. It even does body tracking, arm tracking, but it also does hand tracking. Like, this is absolutely incredible. Talk about a little about this software.
So the software actually do 18 pose human pose tracking, 18 notes human pose tracking, and expose that to the developers so that they can really easily leverage that to create games. So some of the developers basically can build games in 2 weeks because they're using our tools to do that. We also start basically adding not just human pose, but also adding hand pose as well, so they can actually create games like gestures. Some of course, the hand pose require a little more processing power, so it's only available on higher end like phones and PC and Macs. And we basically want to kind of bring this technology everywhere.
So talk about this SDK. You give it in the hands. It's a software program. People can SDK. Talk about that how they can utilize it with any device with a camera and CPU power.
Yeah. So we call that motion developer kit. It has 4 major features. It's do motion tracking. It has cross-platform. Have performance optimized, so we can how we accelerate that and take care of that and on behalf of the developers, and also do make it game development ready. So it's just a Unity package. So you work with us to get the Unity package, and then you can basically start using that to build games. And we handle the cross-platform layer of that. So once you build game with Unity, you can deploy it to multiple hardwares.
So we've seen a lot of games on here with a lot of face tracking. Talk about some of the demos you're showing here as concepts or prototypes.
So we actually have a few games that's launched in the Android and iOS stores already, and those games have reaching millions of users. And this round, we also work with external developers to having some people build on our motion developer kit to build games, and we're bringing more games into. And then in this GDC, we're showing over 30 games and experiences to the audience, and we could developers to build on the platform.
Now you are showing off a lot of games here, but your program can also be used educationally to improve things like sports. You had a basketball app that analyzed shots in real time. Is this something also your software could do?
So Apple put us on stage in 2018 when iPhone XS reached breakthrough performance to allow us to process video in real time. And then 30 frames per second we track motion. And it's the beginning of the technologies. And now these technologies just reach more and more devices now. Majority of iOS phones, like at least half Android phones, and majority of Macs and PC. So basically how we take these technologies and allow motion game to create it and allow them to reach billions of devices.
So not only are you guys showing your SDK and your software here at the floor, but you also have a console that you're planning to release soon. Can you talk a little about that?
Yep. So when we start showing our games, the people say, oh, this game is actually really makes sense for living room. So when we anticipate TV and set-top box, we would really advance at the point that we basically reach what we call the iPhone moment to allow many kinds of applications to run on it, and most important games to run on it, because you can see TV and set-top box we're showing mostly streaming. It's one-way content, and there's 4K, there's 8K, but that would not be a 16K. So the next step of that would typically be, what kind of new application we run on it, and games will natural fit. And when we can bring games on that platform, and also what kind of hardware we can bring add to that platform, it's not controllers. It's most likely camera first, and then with camera, we can start expanding the use cases. And what we want to bring on the platform is really interactive motion games to that platform. And while we're waiting that to happen, and we can wait. So we start basically creating a device, actually using those hardware, those next generation TV set-top box like SoC to create device, so that basically we can start championing that, so that we can say, oh, this is very desirable experiences. It's actually a very affordable device, and that's why we start building hardware as well, with the main goal to accelerate the industry. Because what we believe is eventually TV and set-top box will become basically the device in the living room that basically will pull in many kinds of applications into it. So that's how what we believe.
The most important, interesting thing about your console and the software is that you don't need a peripheral. It tracks you. I mean, the Wii needed a peripheral. Oculus needed sensors. All you need is the camera in your software. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. All we need is a camera. So that's why we can basically shrink that whole thing into a small cube, which is the next playground concept. So it's a really small tube. And you just put it in the living room, you have 3 to 5 feet from it, and then you can also start playing games already. That's how incredible that is.
Are you able to talk about any of the partners that you have here or are working with currently to develop these apps and these games?
Yes, so we have, for game developers that we work with are a few already, including New Zealand's Cookie Crayon. We also work with Mattia from Denmark, and he is actually one of the Kinect developer which create Through, which is a really highly highest rated game back in 2016. And he's really love our platform. We actually have a co-presentation with Mattia in GDC yesterday. And on the platform side, we're working with Android TV, working with Sky to bring our games onto their platform. And on the hardware side, we're working with multiple TV set-top boxes, ODM, including Skyworth, including SI Robotics, who are actually creating a lot of set-top boxes. And they seeing this is a feature for the next generation set-top boxes and TVs. Samsung also is our investor. So basically, we're building a whole ecosystem, from actually partnering with the SoC, who are actually creating the chipset for TV and set-top boxes, to the ODM and OEM who actually manufacture the hardware, to game developers to create games for this thing. So the whole ecosystem have a lot of people, and next is basically sitting in between them and try to coordinate and have everything ready for this new generation of entertainment experiences, which is interactive motion games for TVs or for living rooms.
How CPU intensive is your software?
CPU intensive, so it's in modern days, it's actually what we call is the SoC, which system on a chip, which have obviously CPU, GPU, NPU, and a lot of other things. And what we have done is we have moved the machine learning inference, basically the motion tracking part, to the neural processing unit, which is becoming more and more popular in the chipset now, and also advancing a lot. And obviously the rendering graphics depend on GPU, but we are more in the family gaming experience. We are not AAA. We're more family gaming. So we want to kind of get the game basically to run on our next generation TV and set-top box SoC, which if you translate it back to mobile, would be a mobile chip that's 4 or 5 years ago. And once those chip basically capability reaching the TV and set-top boxes, is basically when the ecosystem will start beginning to explode.
How many people can your software track at any given time?
At the moment, we can see a lot of people, and it will basically start tracking and recognizing who is the player. And the game that supports the most players now can track 4 people at the same time, and 4 people can play at the same time just in front of one single camera.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I know there's nothing in stone, but Just Dance would be really great on this software.
We would love to bring Just Dance onto the platform, because we believe that motion tracking actually bring better experience to the Just Dance game. So we would love to actually we have met Ubisoft in the GDC, and would love to bring Just Dance onto the platform.
So from a consumer level, when can people experience your software technology in their own homes? So
you can actually already experience today if you get our games on your iPad or iPhones or your Android phone and tablets. You can do it today already, but people have the most experience is actually connecting their phone and device to the TV, because it's motion game. You need some place to move. You also want to kind of see the big screen as a feedback. So that's the best experience. Obviously, it will be in the living room, even you are actually using our mobile device to play it. So we also bring our games to Mac and PC later this year, and then when the TV and set-top box becoming more available, and we'll bring our games to that place as well.
If there's any developers out there or companies watching this, how do they get in touch with you to get an SDK?
So they're just going to get in touch with us. We have this next.inc is our nex.inc is our company website. You go there, and then you tap the our developers, and then you can basically get in touch with us through that. And we already open door to bring in developers into our ecosystem and working with them to build games already.